So when importing records into Colleague 7, the option is available within the admin area. Under the records section, you have import records there as an icon. That's an option there. Now, access to the import records icon is done through user group permissions. So then user group permissions under the admin area or submenu, you've got import records an option there, and that needs to be set to full access. If it's set to no access, then that icon won't appear for that user. Now, in terms of access to import records, if we click on the import records option, you'll see that you have the means to select the entity that you're importing the records to. So it supports candidate, company, and contact. And this is on the basis of it being a CSV file that you would select and choose the file, and then within the result it will give the details of how it's progressing. If I open up an example Excel file or CSV file just to demonstrate how this would work. So this is an example file set up with obviously various different content that you'd import into the system. Note that it supports lookup, so if you want to pass values into lookup fields, drop-down list fields, then it will manage that, providing that it obviously tallies up with the content of what's available in the lookup. If it's an invalid value, then obviously it will bypass that. In terms of date of birth, the specific format that's required for the date of birth is year, month, and day in terms of the formatting of the date. That's an important bit of information to know and understand so that it imports correctly in terms of passing the date value. But also in terms of the actual columns that are available, they're defined by the contents of the data dictionary. So there'll be some example spreadsheets available, but if you want to add additional columns to the spreadsheet that you're importing to, what you'll need to do is basically just go to the data dictionary, look up the candidates section, if you're looking at candidates, and then you can see the fields that are available there. So if you wanted to add in an additional field, in this example, candidate source, then you copy in the field name from the data dictionary, and then obviously you can then enter in any specific content that you're looking to pass through into that field, providing obviously if it's a drop-down list, it's a valid value that you're entering in there. So that's basically the example file, and they'll be available to download with the release notes associated with this feature. If we run through an example import, you can see that obviously the entity option is selected. We select the file, it's the file that we were just looking at there, hit import records, and they'll give you a confirmation message that you need to set yes to there. That then triggers the process, and obviously you get a processing overlay appear. Now what you can do is download the results, and I'd recommend that you do that so that you have a file that gives you an overview, and then what you could then do is select all on those results and copy them, and then if we revisit the file, open up that file again, what I'd suggest doing is basically adding in an extra column at the beginning, calling it result, and then pasting in the output of that result. And then what that allows you to do is basically see that if you have any feedback, if there's been any failures with regards to the creation of the records, it's going to give you details of what's failed, and if it's obviously successfully created, it gives you the reference number, and you can obviously look up that reference number and see that record created. So that covers the creation of a candidate record using the import feature. With regards to creating a contact record, if we go to a contact spreadsheet, what you'll have is a company name column, and what happens there as part of the import process is it looks up that company name on the system. If it finds a company that matches that name, then it will create the contacts against that company. But if it doesn't find a company of that name, it will create the company as well as part of the contact import process. So that's just a point to note there. But that's the import feature in Colleague 7.